My brother Marcus was always the golden child. Harvard MBA. Wall Street pedigree. Married to Vanessa, whose father sat on 3 Fortune 500 boards. Their wedding was being held at the Rosewood Estate, where rooms started at $1,200 per night. I was always the other one. The comparison started early. Marcus made partner at Andersen Financial Advisors by 32. I was 35 and, according to family legend, had never held a real job. Marcus drove a Tesla Model S. I took the subway. Marcus owned a penthouse in Tribeca. I rented a studio in Queens. What they didn't know was that I preferred it that way. My parents never understood what I did for work. Something with computers, Mom would say vaguely at their country club. Dad would change the subject entirely. At family gatherings, Marcus would hold court about his latest corporate acquisition while I sat quietly in the corner. Sarah's still figuring things out, Mom would explain to relatives with practiced sympathy. I wasn't figuring anything out. I'd figured it out years ago. I founded my first tech company at 23, sold it at 26 for $18 million, and rolled everything into a private equity fund specializing in mid-market financial services firms. By 30, I was managing $340 million in assets. By 35, I'd cleared $500 million. Nobody in my family knew. Nobody asked. The wedding invitation arrived with a personal note from Marcus. Keep it low-key, okay? Vanessa's family is very traditional. Translation: don't embarrass me. I RSVP'd yes. Sent a $500 gift from their registry. Said nothing. What Marcus also didn't know was that his firm, Andersen Financial Advisors, had been struggling for 18 months. They'd lost 2 major clients, hemorrhaged 3 senior partners, and were drowning in operational debt. 6 months ago, an anonymous donor had injected $3.3 million in emergency capital to keep them afloat. That donor was me. I'd structured it through my fund, shielded by 3 layers of LLCs. Marcus never knew his little sister was the only thing standing between his firm and bankruptcy. He just knew that suddenly, miraculously, the bleeding stopped. He'd even bragged about it at Thanksgiving. We secured a major private investor, he'd announced, pouring himself scotch. Anonymous. Very sophisticated. They see the long-term value in what we're building. Dad had clapped him on the back. That's my boy. I'd smiled into my wine glass. The rehearsal dinner was held at a private club overlooking the harbor. Crystal chandeliers. Waiters in white gloves. A string quartet playing Vivaldi. I arrived in a simple black dress, minimal jewelry. My strategy had always been invisibility. The less memorable I was, the less anyone asked questions. Sarah. Mom materialized, her smile tight. You made it. Of course. You look nice. The pause before nice said everything. Marcus and Vanessa are greeting guests in the library. Maybe give them a few minutes before. I'll wait, I said. I found a corner seat near the bar. Ordered a gin and tonic. Watched Marcus work the room like the politician he'd always wanted to be. Vanessa was stunning in ivory silk, her engagement ring catching the light with every gesture. They looked perfect together. They looked expensive. Marcus's business partner, Derek, approached my table. Sarah, right? Marcus's sister. That's right. Derek Chin. I'm a partner at the firm. He sat without asking. Marcus mentioned you work in tech? Something like that. Interesting. He sipped his bourbon. We've been getting into fintech lately. Exploring opportunities in the private equity space. It's a fascinating sector. I nodded politely. Derek had no idea he was describing my fund's exact specialty. Actually, he continued, we just brought in a major silent partner. $3.3 million in capital. Completely anonymous, very sophisticated investor. Gave us the runway we needed to restructure. That's fortunate. Marcus has been incredible through the whole turnaround. Real leadership. Derek raised his glass toward where Marcus stood. Guy's going places. I smiled. He certainly is. What Derek didn't mention was that Andersen Financial Advisors was still burning through cash at an unsustainable rate. The $3.3 million had bought them time, not salvation. They needed structural changes. New leadership, better risk management, actual accountability. But Marcus was too busy planning his wedding to notice. The ceremony was flawless. Vanessa floated down the aisle in a Vera Wang gown that probably cost more than most people's cars. Marcus looked distinguished in his custom Tom Ford tuxedo. The vows were traditional, the kiss was photogenic, and the applause was enthusiastic. I sat in the back row. When the photographer came around for family shots, Mom steered me away. "We're doing immediate family first. We'll grab you later." They never did. The reception was even more extravagant. A 12-piece band. Towers of champagne glasses. A cake that looked like architecture. The centerpieces alone probably cost $3,000 per table. I was seated at table 14 with distant cousins and family friends I'd never met. Marcus and Vanessa held court at the head table, surrounded by his partners and her father's business associates. During cocktail hour, I overheard Marcus talking to a groomsman near the bar. "Don't introduce her as my sister," he said quietly, but not quietly enough. "She's the family disappointment. Just say she's a guest." The groomsman glanced at me, then back at Marcus. "That's harsh, man." "It's accurate. Trust me, Vanessa's father doesn't need to know about my underachieving sister. Just keep it vague." I finished my champagne. Replied loud enough for Marcus to hear. Understood. He had the decency to look uncomfortable for approximately 5 seconds before someone pulled him away for photos. I returned to my table. Pulled out my phone. Opened my encrypted email and typed. 2. Harrington Capital Management. Subject. Anderson Financial Advisors, immediate action required. Message. Withdraw all capital from Anderson Financial Advisors effective immediately. Initiate full liquidation of position. Process exit documentation by end of business Monday. I hit send. Then I opened my banking app and set up a second email to my wealth management team. 2. Private Banking Executive Services. Subject. Credit line termination. Message. Terminate all extended credit facilities associated with Anderson Financial Advisors. Recall any outstanding bridge loans. Freeze all backup lines of credit. Marcus's phone started binging from his jacket pocket. Then again. He pulled it out, frowned at the screen. Typed something quickly. Put it back. It binged again immediately. "Everything okay?" Vanessa asked. "Just work stuff. Nothing urgent." But his expression said otherwise. I sipped my champagne and waited. Dinner was served. Filet mignon and Chilean sea bass. I barely tasted it. Marcus stood to give a toast, champagne glass raised. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. This is truly the happiest day of my life." Applause. "I especially want to thank my parents who gave me every opportunity to succeed. My partners at Anderson Financial, who've built something incredible together. And of course my beautiful wife Vanessa, who saw something in me worth loving." More applause. "To family," Marcus concluded. "The people who matter most." Everyone drank. I noticed he hadn't mentioned me at all. His phone binged again during the toast. And again during the first dance. By the time the cake was cut, Derek was at his side whispering urgently. I watched Marcus's expression shift from confusion to concern to something approaching panic. Vanessa noticed. "Marcus, what's wrong? I need to make a call." He handed her his champagne glass and walked quickly toward the exit. Derek followed. I counted to 30, then got up and walked casually toward the lobby. Not following them, just needing air. I could hear Marcus's voice from the garden terrace. "What do you mean they're withdrawing?" "Who? The anonymous investor?" "All of it." Pause. "One day. That's in 3 days. We have payroll, we have..." "Derek, we're leveraged on 6 different deals. If we lose that capital injection, we're completely exposed." Longer pause. "Find out who they are. I don't care about the anonymity agreements. We need to know who we're dealing with. And call the lawyers. Maybe we can block the withdrawal on some kind of..." I walked back inside before he could see me. The rest of the reception proceeded as planned. Band played. People danced. The bride and groom cut the cake and did all the traditional rituals. But Marcus's smile looked painted on. He kept checking his phone. Derek pulled 2 other partners aside for a whispered conference near the bar. I recognized both of them, James and Reginald. The senior partners. The ones who'd been with the firm since the beginning. Their body language told me everything. Defensive postures. Sharp gestures. This wasn't a casual conversation. Around 10 p.m. Mom found me at my table. Sarah, we're doing a family photo. Come on. I thought you did family photos already. Immediate family. This is extended. Her tone suggested I shouldn't argue. I followed her to where Marcus stood with Vanessa, both looking camera-ready despite whatever crisis was unfolding backstage. Smile, the photographer instructed. I smiled. The flash went off. Beautiful, Mom said. Sarah, you can go back to your table now. Marcus didn't even look at me. As I walked away, I heard Vanessa whisper, "Is everything okay with the firm?" "It's fine," Marcus lied. "Just some paperwork issues. We'll handle it Monday." But his phone kept binging. I left the reception at midnight. Took an Uber back to my studio apartment in Queens. Changed into sweatpants. I opened my laptop and reviewed the withdrawal documentation. Everything was proceeding correctly. By Monday morning, all $3.3 million would be transferred out of Anderson Financial Advisors and back into my fund's primary account. I also reviewed their credit lines. 4 different facilities totaling $2.8 million, all provided through my banking relationships, all about to be recalled. Marcus's firm would be $6.1 million lighter by close of business Monday. They wouldn't collapse immediately, but they'd be exposed. Vulnerable. Every structural weakness they'd been papering over with my capital would suddenly be visible. My phone buzzed around 1 a.m. A text from Mom. "Beautiful wedding. So glad you could make it." I didn't respond. I was in my office by 7 a.m. Office was a generous term. I worked from a small suite in a shared workspace building, the kind with standing desks and cold brew on tap. My team consisted of me, my investment manager Tribeca, and our legal counsel Michael, who worked remotely from Boston. "The Anderson withdrawal is complete," Tribeca confirmed via video call. "All capital extracted. Their accounts are frozen pending final reconciliation." Good. "And the credit lines? Recall notices sent. They have 48 hours to satisfy the outstanding balances or we initiate collections." Perfect. Michael joined the call. "Sarah, I need to flag something. Anderson Financial's legal team has been calling all morning. They want to negotiate." "There's nothing to negotiate. They're claiming the withdrawal violates the investment agreement. Something about adequate notice periods." I pulled up the contract. Clause 17, subsection C. Either party may terminate with 72 hours written notice for any reason. We provided that notice Friday evening. Monday morning is exactly 72 hours. They're arguing Friday evening doesn't count as a business day. It was submitted through official channels before midnight. It counts. I lean back. What do they really want, Michael? They want to know who you are. They're demanding the anonymity shield be lifted. Absolutely not. They're threatening legal action. Let them. The agreements are ironclad. They sign them. They cash the checks. They don't get to renegotiate terms because they're suddenly inconvenient. Tribeca cleared her throat. For what it's worth, the firm is in worse shape than we thought. The preliminary audit shows they've been using the capital injection to cover personal expenses. Partner distributions, luxury expenditures, Marcus's wedding. I felt something cold settle in my chest. They used investment capital to pay for the wedding. About $400,000 from what we can trace. Routed through various accounts, but the paper trail is there. That's fraud. Technically, it's misappropriation of funds. And yes, it's prosecutable. I closed my eyes. Thought about Marcus in his Tom Ford tuxedo. The 12-piece band. The cake that looked like architecture. He'd paid for his perfect wedding with my money while calling me the family disappointment. "Document everything," I said. "Every transaction. Every irregularity. I want a complete forensic analysis." "Already underway," Tribeca confirmed. "And Michael, when they call back, tell them we're not negotiating. Tell them we're considering whether to file a formal complaint about the fund misappropriation. That'll destroy them. That's the point." Marcus called Tuesday afternoon. I let it go to voicemail. "Sarah, it's Marcus. Look, I don't know if you've heard, but there's something going on with my firm. Some investor is pulling out and it's complicated. I know we haven't talked much lately, but I could really use some advice. You work in tech finance or whatever, right? Maybe you know someone who, just call me back. Please." I deleted the message. Mom called Tuesday evening. I answered. Sarah, your brother needs your help. With what? His business is having some trouble. An investor pulled out unexpectedly and they're scrambling. Do you know anyone in finance who might? No. Sarah, please. This is serious. The firm could actually fail. Everything Marcus has worked for. Mom, I'm the family disappointment. Remember? What could I possibly do to help? Silence. That's not fair, she said finally. It's accurate. I used Marcus's word deliberately. I'm just a guest. Not really family. He didn't mean that. He did. And honestly, I'm fine with it. But I'm not going to help him now that it's suddenly convenient. This isn't about convenience. This is about family. Is it? Because family doesn't introduce each other as guests. Family doesn't hide each other from important people. Family doesn't exclude each other from photos and toasts and basic human acknowledgement. You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. Kept my voice level. Marcus made his choices. Now he gets to live with the consequences. What does that mean? It means I hope he figures it out. But he'll figure it out without me. I hung up. Wednesday morning, Derek called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered out of curiosity. Sarah Anderson? Speaking. Derek Chin. We met at Marcus's wedding. I'm a partner at Anderson Financial Advisors. I remember. I need to ask you something directly. Do you have any connection to Harrington Capital Management? My heart rate didn't change. Why? Because they're the entity that just pulled $3.3 million from our firm, and we're trying to understand who's behind it. The investment was made through a series of shell companies, but one of the LLCs is registered in Queens with a mailing address that matches. I'm not discussing my business with you, Derek. So you admit there's business to discuss. I admit nothing. If your firm has questions about an investment withdrawal, I suggest you review the contractual agreements you signed. I'm sure everything is clearly outlined. Pause. You're the anonymous investor. I'm ending this call. Wait, Sarah, please. I don't know what Marcus did to piss you off, but this isn't about him. This is about 43 employees who are going to lose their jobs. Families. People with mortgages and kids in college. If you pull your support. I didn't pull my support. I terminated an investment that wasn't performing to expectations. That's basic portfolio management. The firm is solvent. The firm is burning cash and misappropriating capital. There's a difference. Longer pause. How much do you know? Enough. Kept my voice cold. Derek, I respect that you're trying to protect your people. But my responsibility is to my fund's performance, not to your firm's dysfunction. You need better leadership. You need actual accountability. And you need to stop spending investment capital on luxury weddings. How did you? I hung up. Marcus showed up at my apartment Thursday evening. I watched him through the door camera. Expensive suit, no tie, hair disheveled. He looked like he hadn't slept. I almost didn't answer. But I opened the door. We need to talk, he said. About what? You know what? He pushed past me into my studio. Looked around at my minimal furniture, my single window overlooking the street. This is where you live. Yes. This, Sarah. I thought you were doing okay. I thought. He trailed off. Ran a hand through his hair. Why didn't you tell me you needed money? I stared at him. Excuse me. If you needed help, you should have said something. I could have, I don't know, gotten you a job at the firm. Entry level, but it's something. Better than this. He gestured at my apartment. Marcus, I don't need your help. Clearly you do. Sarah, I know we haven't been close, but you're still my sister. And right now I'm dealing with something serious. A major investor is trying to destroy my business. And I need to focus on that, but I also can't just leave you living like this. I almost laughed. Living like what? Like you're barely getting by. He pulled out his phone. Look, I'll talk to Vanessa. We can probably float you a few thousand. Maybe help you move somewhere better. And I'll definitely get you an interview at the firm. Once we resolve this investor situation and stabilize, we can. Marcus. I said it quietly, calmly. I am the investor situation. He stopped talking. Looked at me like I'd started speaking a foreign language. What? Harrington Capital Management. The anonymous investor who just pulled $3.3 million from Anderson Financial Advisors. That's my fund. The color drained from his face. That's not funny. It's not a joke. I walked to my laptop, pulled up the investment documentation, turned the screen toward him. 6 months ago, your firm was 3 weeks from insolvency. You'd lost 2 major clients, hemorrhaged partners, and had $4.8 million in operational debt. I injected $3.3 million to stabilize you. He leaned over the screen, started reading. His expression shifted from confusion to disbelief to something approaching horror. You couldn't have. Sarah, this is serious investment capital. This is $3.3 million. Yes. I'm aware. I wrote the check. But you don't have this kind of money. You work in tech. You take the subway. You live in a studio apartment. By choice. I closed the laptop. Marcus, I've been managing a private equity fund for almost a decade. My current portfolio is valued at $520 million. I take the subway because it's faster than sitting in traffic. I live here because I don't need a penthouse to validate my worth. He sat down heavily on my couch. This isn't possible. It's extremely possible. And now I'm withdrawing my support because your firm is poorly managed, hemorrhaging capital, and, most importantly, because you used approximately $400,000 of investment capital to pay for your wedding while calling me the family disappointment. His head snapped up. You heard that. Everyone heard that. I stayed standing. You told your groomsmen not to introduce me as your sister. To just say I was a guest. Because Vanessa's father didn't need to know about your underachieving sister. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word. I kept my voice level. And that's fine. You're entitled to be embarrassed by me. But you're not entitled to my money while you're doing it. Sarah, if you pull that capital, the firm collapses. That's your problem. 43 people lose their jobs. 43 people who work for a firm that misappropriates investor capital. They deserve better leadership. Maybe this will force actual accountability. He stood up. You can't do this. I already did. The withdrawal is complete. The credit lines are recalled. By tomorrow morning, your firm will be $6.1 million lighter and completely exposed. We'll sue. With what money? I crossed my arms. Marcus, your legal fees alone will bankrupt you. And even if you somehow win, which you won't because the contracts are ironclad, you'll spend years in litigation while your firm bleeds out. Then what do you want? Nothing. I said it simply. I don't want anything from you. I wanted you to see me, to acknowledge me, to treat me like family instead of an embarrassing obligation. But you couldn't even do that at your own wedding. So this is revenge. This is portfolio management. And self-respect. I walked to the door. Opened it. You should go. Sarah, please. I'll apologize to everyone. I'll tell Mom and Dad the truth. Whatever you need. I don't need your apologies. I needed basic human decency and you couldn't provide it. I gestured to the hallway. Leave. He stood there for a long moment. Then walked to the door. Stopped. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I know you are. Now. He left. Anderson Financial Advisors filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection on Friday. The news hit the financial press Monday morning. Prominent financial advisory firm collapses after major investor withdrawal. Marcus's name was in the third paragraph. His role in the firm's mismanagement was detailed extensively in the filing documents. Derek called Tuesday morning. You destroyed us. You destroyed yourselves. I just stopped subsidizing it. Was it worth it? 43 people are unemployed. Those 43 people should have had better leadership. Now they have an opportunity to find it. I paused. For what it's worth, my fund is hiring. Anyone from Anderson Financial who can pass a basic ethics screening is welcome to apply. He hung up. By Wednesday, 3 former Anderson partners had submitted applications. Mom called Friday evening. I hope you're satisfied. I'm not sure what you mean. Don't play innocent. Marcus told us everything. That you're some secret millionaire who deliberately sabotaged his business. I withdrew my investment from a poorly managed firm. That's not sabotage. That's fiduciary responsibility. You let him suffer. You let all of us believe you were struggling while you were secretly wealthy. What kind of person does that? The kind of person who wanted to see if her family loved her for who she was, not what she had. I kept my voice steady. And I got my answer at Marcus's wedding. He apologized. After I destroyed his business. Very convenient timing. Silence. You've changed, Mom said finally. No. You just finally see me. I took a breath. Mom, I spent my entire adult life being invisible to this family. The disappointing daughter. The underachieving sister. The embarrassing relative who didn't fit the image. And I accepted that. I even preferred it in some ways. Then why? Because Marcus didn't just ignore me. He used my money to fund his perfect life while actively hiding me from it. He took my capital, my support, my silent investment in his success, and then called me a disappointment to his friends. So you destroyed him? No. I stopped protecting him. There's a difference. Your brother has lost everything. Your brother lost a firm he was running into the ground. He still has his education. His network. His experience. He'll recover. I paused. But he'll recover without me. And what about family? What about it? I asked. You defined family pretty clearly at that wedding. I was a guest. Not part of the inner circle. Not worth acknowledging in photos or toasts or basic introductions. So now I'm treating Marcus the way he treated me, as someone peripheral. Someone who doesn't matter enough to help. That's cruel. That's consistent. I softened my voice slightly. Mom, I don't hate Marcus. I don't hate any of you. But I'm done being the family afterthought who's only valuable in a crisis. I built something extraordinary and I did it without your support or acknowledgement. I don't need your approval now. She hung up. I bought a better apartment. Still in Queens, I like the neighborhood, but with 2 bedrooms and actual natural light. Not because I needed to prove anything. Because I wanted to. I hired 5 employees from the Anderson financial collapse. 3 of them are now senior analysts at my fund. They're good at their jobs. They're also good people who got caught in someone else's dysfunction. Derek was one of them. I owe you an apology, he said during his second week. When I called you that day, I assumed you were being vindictive. I didn't understand that Marcus had been. I didn't know about the misappropriation. Or how he treated you. It's fine. It's not fine. But I'm grateful for the second chance. Marcus sent me an email 3 months after the bankruptcy. Subject line, I'm sorry. I read it twice. It was genuine. He acknowledged every slight, every dismissal, every moment he'd made me feel less than. He talked about being in therapy. About realizing how much his ego had cost him. He didn't ask for money. Didn't ask for reconciliation. Just apologized. I wrote back, thank you for the apology. I accept it. I'm glad you're getting help. But I need more time before we can talk. He responded, I understand. Whenever you're ready. I haven't responded since. Maybe I will someday. Maybe I won't. The truth is, I didn't destroy my brother's business out of revenge. I destroyed it because it was already destroyed. I just stopped hiding the damage. The truth is, I don't live modestly to punish anyone. I live modestly because extravagance never interested me. Success for me was never about displays. It was about capability. About building something meaningful and building it well. The truth is, I wanted my family to see me. The real me. Not the disappointing sister or the struggling relative, but the person I'd actually become. And when they couldn't, when they actively worked to hide me instead, I stopped waiting for their approval. I didn't need Marcus's business to fail. I needed him to understand that I was never the problem. His perception was. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop supporting someone else's delusions about you. Stop subsidizing their dismissiveness. Stop accepting a diminished role in your own story. I'm not the family disappointment. I never was. I'm just the one who stopped pretending it mattered what they thought. And honestly, that feels like success to me.